All right, this is the mama's boy here at Bag Season Sports Club, 760 Coach's Corner. Let me just say, addressing some issues, because like I said, I'm the mama's boy. I'm going to treat you right. I'm going to love you, but I'm going to tell you the truth. If you need an aspirin and you're sick, I'm going to get it for you. If you need a ride, I'm going to do it for you. But if you do something you're not supposed to, guess what? Like your mom would tell you before you get out the car to go in the store, don't you show your ass in the store. Don't you do it. So it's the same thing of when you send them off to school and you send them off to somebody and you want them to sit behind a desk for 8 hours. We're teaching them already to sit behind a desk and be told to do something. We're not teaching them how to go out and go get it. What's going out and go get it is recess. Now they throw them a ball and they say, go out there and play that sport. Guess what? And ain't nobody out there teaching them how to do it. So now they come home and they tell their parents, hey, I want to play basketball. Oh, I want to play soccer. Or I want to play this, because they doing it at school. And they balling. They just, then they get out there and they meet the coach. Again. And the coach looks at him and he says, hey, you better get over there. You better do this. You better do that. And the kid takes a shit. He takes a mean shit because he ain't never had a grown man talk to him that way. And remember, this is the same kid that don't know the trash days. All right? So what I'm saying is we're going to address some things here in the Coachella Valley first. Before we start trying to go to L.A., before we trying to go any other city, we got to address on what's in hand. So we're going to go 760. 760 goes all the way to damn, what is that? Edom here. It goes all over the place. It goes all the way to Death Valley. You know what I mean? So we're going to attack the 760. And if you really know this, if you're OG California, you'll know we used to be 619. If you don't know that, then you're not an OG Californian. Okay? Palm Springs used to be 619 when I was a kid. It branched off because there's more people starting to move here, if you notice it. So, but you also need to notice those dinosaurs now are packed. The dinosaurs now over here are being painted different colors based on the seasons. They give a shit more than them dinosaurs than we do our youth. I want to say this, and then I'm going to get into my guess. Look, this is not a black or white problem. This is a youth problem. We have a youth problem. We don't have a black-white problem. We have a youth problem because all the things that were taken away during Corona never returned. So now the kids that are in 4th grade, they get PE. The kids that's in 1st to 3rd grade, they don't get nothing. They don't even see it. They only see yard 4 like we talked about earlier. Okay? So I'm trying to figure out what are we doing. Kids don't do cursive anymore. I told my son, he 18 years old. I said, here, sign this contract for that new BMW you got. He printed his name. He printed his name. I looked at the lady and I said, this ain't going to work, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. But this is what I'm saying. We are losing track. We losing track of what we doing. Kids aren't even getting vocabulary anymore. They know what a word means by someone telling them, not because they had to study it or write it 10 times. How many times you had to write that vocabulary word 10 times or that spelling word 10 times? But then as a coach, I need him to run that play 50 times so we can do it right. It don't start at home, you know what I'm saying? And it don't start at school. You can't make it start on the field either, though. Somebody has to take that challenge by saying, come out in the street and let me throw a ball to you. Or ask a kid to let's go in the desert and build a fort. They're going to be looking at you like, what is that? Okay? So I'm going to bring in my guest real quick, but I got another saying I always saying is get in the game, get off the game. And I'm going to continue to say that. Get in the game and get off the game. That goes for grown people too. Get off the game and get in the game. If your girl is pumping the gas and you in the car, you're wrong. You're wrong. You dig? Okay, so, all right. So, you know, let me tell you a little bit about my guest real quick on how this worked. I had a guy that I was training and I was working with him. What's his name? KT.
Okay.
KT. And KT said, Coach, I want you to go with me to this guy. He said he can get me faster. He say that, you know, he can get me to the next level. Like, he knows people and this and that. I said, well, shit, I need to know him too. Who is he? Like, I want to go to practice with you. So he picked me up and we came out to visit. Where were we at? What school?
Colony.
Yep, Colony High School. Sure was. Colony High School. And I see this little dude out there not yelling. I ain't hear him yell not one time. He has, I think he had those bands. He created those speed bands, right?
Right.
Yeah, he created these speed bands that go on the goalpost. And I saw him, and I'm watching him, and I heard him and I said to this day, the concept of being faster is to make sure you don't have a whole foot on the ground. I learned that from him. Is if you got a whole foot on the ground, it takes longer for it to come up than a hat. You know what I mean? So you got to be on your toes running. Okay. No, y'all two know it because y'all ran track, and Noah know because they fastest one in the building. So I seen what he did with KT, and I was like, man, shit. I want to know more. I want to do more. I think we lost track for like maybe a couple of months or so.
Right.
And then I seen him at a 7-on-7 tournament maybe 3 months ago. And he was telling me about this book he's always had. He says, I've always had this book. And I say, how long? And he's like, I've had it for a long time. I'm like, okay, well, we putting it out. He goes, what you mean? I said, I'm going to put the book out. I'm going to pay them whatever it needs to be because people need to know this. I said, let's join forces, and I want to promote and market this book, and I want people to understand. I want the Football Association to get involved, and I want it to be a curriculum for coaches. And that's how this came about. So I introduced him. You know, he going to come on the mic. He ain't using mine. We in a real studio, so that means I'm not passing him my mic. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm in here. I got 4 mics. There's 4 empty mics next to me. I just want people to know that I'm not in my garage. You know what I'm saying? But okay,
well,
but you know,
this is kind of interesting because all the stuff you told and led up to this, talking about kids. You know, for like 35 years, I've been an LA County probation officer. So as when I started this program, it was to help kids in probation get into college. So it wasn't really like some kind of business I was trying to start. So just, listening to what you were saying about kids and parents and stuff like that, yeah, there is a need for parents to understand how to develop their kids. And it's more like when you have a kid, you don't have a parenting manual. But everything you get, an iPad or anything, it comes with a manual.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really the issue. What are we teaching our kids, and who's writing the books that are teaching our parents how to do it? Most of us are doing it the way that our parents taught us.
Right.
Same thing with football and coaching. They're doing the same thing my coach did with me. Okay, so that's why I said that's the way everybody coaches. But what if you had instructions? So what if you had a manual how to do this and do it at a high level? So after you was just talking there, I already have been planning doing a book for juvenile delinquents, because all the years of probation, that's basically what I did with getting kids to talk them out of being in gangs and trying to change their lives. So it really made me a better communicator to people. So when I started writing this book about all of this stuff, it was about how to communicate your ideas to people. We all have great ideas. The problem is, how do we communicate those ideas? So that's really the key and why I wrote this book. And like you said, you was talking about the kids, how important it is to start a kid off with a good foundation. One of my mottos is to build a solid foundation. That means from the start, if you build a solid foundation with a kid, you don't have to worry about him later on. He always has that foundation.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because these two over here, again, I'm going to keep making reference to them, is that I had a program called Planting Seeds University. And Planting Seeds University, that's what it was. And I always said, like, you take a seed and you find a good place for it. Mm-hmm. You clean it off and you plant it right.
Right.
You make sure it's gonna get enough sun and all it needs. But once that grows, you're able to pull that up and uproot it. As long as it's treated the same way from the beginning, it'll continue to grow, right? So that's the same concept of when you saying, like, okay, foundation, and it comes from parenting. It comes from a kid, needing to know, his homework schedule,
Right.
everything. So
and just to expand on that, so as a young man, I was a inner city kid, and I met a guy one day because I kept getting into trouble, and this guy says, "Man, you're a good athlete. You might be able to go to college," and that stuck in my head for my whole life. Okay, so from that day in the 7th grade, this guy told me I could go to college, and I started looking at him like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Yeah, if you work at it, you could probably go to college at this." So that kind of little seed of somebody telling me something positive is what is important, because I've done this with other kids and because somebody has done it with me. So setting a seed with a kid and letting him know that he could accomplish certain things is important, and that's how we should be communicating. And that's why I said, when you start talking about young kids and communication,
yeah,
I mean, we as coaches, like I was telling you before, when I went into coaching, I didn't go to school for it.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a lady the other day,
Talk about that.
and she was talking to me. We were just talking, and she says, "Yeah, this is when you go into coaching. It's like you got to be a teacher. A coach is actually a teacher if you really think about it.
Pastor.
He has to be able to get his point across, what he's teaching, and them to be able to execute it efficiently."
Yeah, that's why they want most of them to be on campus too.
So one of the reasons why this book is called Angles of Efficiency, because that's important in everything you do, how efficient you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a real key about what you was talking about, our young kids. Our young kids need to be developed earlier. And our parents really don't know what to do. Like you said, a parent should be out catching the passes or with them. They don't really know what to do. So now I actually got another book called the Before Practice Training Routine, and this is for parents to tell parents what they need to be doing with their kids. Their kids need to be out jumping rope.
Yeah, hey, stop the show. Let's do that. We need to do that book, then. Don't tell them about this one. We need to do that one first, because the parents is the problem.
Well, I'm just saying,
I was telling you,
I'm just gonna say,
when it's time to drop them off, it's not
see,
we running the kid, where the
but
parents should be doing the damn push-ups.
Yeah, but see, this is the whole thing from this book.
What was that one
called? Before Practice Training Routine.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, because I want you to, before you come to me, there's some stuff you need to do.
Right.
And so what I've done too is put together a little program for the kids, like kids don't jump rope. Most important thing you could do for a kid is jump rope. It builds up rhythm.
Yeah.
It builds up your foot speed. It builds up your coordination and balance.
Yeah.
And it's going to make you faster. And it's also going to strengthen your knees and your ankles and your hips. So if you know all of those things are beneficial, and kids don't jump rope anymore, so it's important. So there's some little things that kids can do at home, but the parents don't know what to tell them to do. So we got to also coach the parents up.
Of course.
So this book, Angles of Efficiency, is only for coaches.
Well, here, let me give you an example. All right, so we out coaching football. Here it is, week 4. Week 4, week 5, we out somewhere. We win the game. Dad walks up to me as a coach, and he starts talking to me about, why is my son not the quarterback? Why he not this, like that? My answer to him is, who are you? How am I just now meeting you in week 4? But I know who your wife is. Okay? So I don't know where to go with that. So that was always my problem was parents would approach me, and I always would tell them, as long as you talking to me football, you get a football response. Right. But when you go the other way, you get that other way response too, though. So now you have that dad walking out there who's never been to practice, but shows up to the games with his son's jersey on, want to ask me, but have you seen practice? Have you seen? So now, again, I hate to say it, but we have to start letting parents know if their kids suck. I'm serious. I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. Your kid is 300 pounds and he's 10 years old. He probably not going to be the quarterback. You feel me? There's position-oriented stuff. Like you're gonna play lineman, okay?
Well, we have a problem with the parents getting too involved, and as we've seen a lot of incidents with parents and coaches and parents and referees. I've seen a parent come over and shoot another coach out of game. We have really issues with parents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, now that we have this portal and all of these kids move around, parents are moving kids and it's building a low self-esteem in kids because they're not really staying and taking the criticism and the coaching that they need to do to get better. They just keep moving from spot to spot.
I can't remember my parents ever talking to my coaches, though.
Well, my father would say you need to do better if you ain't playing.
My parents would wait till I get to the car and be like, hey, you better start doing what your coach told you or I'm going to go upside your head. Yeah. That's just kind of how that went, you know, and it just, because that was a grown man, and my parents always taught us, you know, respect and do it. Even if he didn't know what he was talking about, you still got, I don't know, but even you never, when have you ever told your mama she was wrong? Never.
Well, we could get into that because we went through Jay Norvell talking about how his mom told him to take his glasses off and his hat when he talks to somebody. So, you know, sometimes parents teach them different ways, you know what I'm saying? So,
well, we just had an incident here this week, and it happened. And I'm not going to get no names. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go into how it transpired. Mm-hmm. So you have a team, which is Desert Hot Springs High School, which is a team that people, you're not going to go buy a ticket to go to their game. It's not something like that. You know, they've been 1-9 since you was going to school, right, Noah? I'm just saying, like, for probably 10 years, it's not a winning team. All right, so to be honest, Bag Season Sports, we've been doing camps out there. We was doing camps out there all summer, helping out with Desert Hot Springs program and anybody else who needed the help. Well, they 4-0 right now, and they beat a team this weekend, and it was a coach that used to be there, lost to them, because he used to be there. He lost to them, and he just lost his cool and put his hands on a kid. I'm going to say horse collar, because y'all, when I say that, you know what that means. You know, he pulled him from the back, and it, you know, and it went a whole nother way. So, and the coach made a comment to me earlier. He was like, no black coach goes to college to be a coach. Am I right?
I've surveyed hundreds and hundreds of my friends, and I haven't found one that says I was going to college to become a football coach. Everybody went to college to try to make it to the next level, so we have a whole bunch of coaches now that once they got done, they just got into coaching either because they wanted to stay around the kids or they wanted to make a living.
Or they was third or fourth string at that other level.
So, you know, most coaches, you know, once they get done, you know, they want to stay in the business. They want to stay around the game. but they never went to school to take the correct classes. And me, myself, and when I got into coaching, I said, well, shit, I didn't take them classes to learn how to do it. So I started studying ways to communicate better to kids and start learning how the teachers was teaching kids and study in classes. So in this book, I put all of those learning techniques that coaches and teachers need to have. And why I say coaches and teachers, because teachers are coaches. Okay, they're just called teachers. So coaches are teachers, but they're called coaches. So we need to make sure that the coaches understand they are teachers. And I just told you earlier, if you had a teacher that yelled at you every day, how much would you learn? So when somebody yells at you a lot, you have a communication block, and so you start to block them out. You might hear what they say, but you block it out because you done heard so much negative you don't want to put it in. So now, if you communicate that way to your players, then you will never get the positive information across to your kid that you would like to get across. Now you're going to be a frustrated coach, and now you're going to be horse-collaring kids and stuff like that. And it's not your fault that you're not knowledgeable enough to understand how to communicate better to your kids. You know.
Well, and you also don't know what that kid is getting at home.
Well,
and that's you start yelling and carrying on. You don't know.
As we saw with the kid that just recently is suing the school because the coach degraded him after his grandmother passed away, and he's suing the university because he had a mental issue then, and the coach just neglected and didn't pay any attention. And this is Kippen over at so he's getting sued for.
You know, I tell you we're gonna call people out.
No, I'm just saying. You know, it's in the news, but when people don't pay attention to certain things and just kind of, you know, the kid's having a mental break. Oh, you just weak. You can't do that anymore. So the way coaches used to coach.
Before I forget. Tell them about the how he kept dropping the pass. Remember? Because that's right in what we was talking about.
You know, just as what I do is I survey everything I do. So when I go to practices, I survey the practice. I survey the coaches. That's how I got to write this book, because I started surveying coaches, finding out they didn't know a whole bunch of stuff. So I was over at the school, and I got a young coach, and I says, I want to see what he's saying in his coaching while he's out there on the field. So I kind of came closer on the field.
And this coach is from a famous family. That's all I'm gonna say. A newscasting type family.
Yeah, well, his dad played in the pros, his uncle played in the pros.
Right.
So I go over, and the kid drops 3 passes, then drops a 4th, and I says, "Hey man, I'm standing here 1 minute. You done dropped 4 passes." And the coach says, "Hey, okay, I got this, coach." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Give me some push-ups." I said, that's really teaching him.
That's it.
So that's what we have going on. Instead of telling him how to catch your hands and so you need to look the ball all the way in till you tuck it away. And then, so we're not even teaching kids the right technique. So, a day later, I'm telling another parent, just like I was telling you, and the kid dropped the pass, and I said, let's see what he does. He told the kid, go do some push-ups. And we started laughing. We couldn't.
So then let's talk about what happens to that kid, though, if he don't get taught. So what happens is he goes down in the totem pole, because the other kid that's an athlete that can just do it naturally is catching the ball and doing what he's supposed to be doing, to where this kid is not even getting. He might be the better athlete. He might be faster. He might pick it up quicker. But that's what I'm saying. You can't have a third string guy. Everybody has to be first string, and you gotta treat it as such. You know.
So let me talk about that a little further. So this kid that actually came to me and he says, "Hey, I want to work on some stuff," and he came out to work out with me one day, and he was dropping passes, and his dad wanted to know why he isn't getting more passes in the game. So that Sunday he came out, and I said, I could tell you why you're not getting the passes. You keep dropping passes. I'm not going to throw you the ball either. But his dad wanted to complain that he's not getting thrown passes, but his dad doesn't know he can't catch.
Right.
Okay. So, you know, he talked to me the other day. He says the next day he goes, "Hey, coach, I want to get back out there with you." I said, "Okay," and he understood that I could have to tell him the truth. You're not catching the ball. That's why your father's mad at the coach. He wants to come and talk to the coach about it. But he ain't. If he come into practice or he watching what I see, the kid can't catch. He doesn't know how to position his hands. So that's a part of the stuff when I wrote this book. We got coaches that don't even know how to teach the kid the right technique.
Yeah.
So there's you know, this book probably have a couple of different things, because you need to learn how to do this as a running back or as a wide receiver. Everything is different. You can't just coach, one position. You have to understand how to use this stuff at your position. So that's why
so you can't be a receiver doing running back drills and lifts.
I mean, there's kids doing drills that. So one year at the coaches convention, we're talking and the coach is talking. He's having big talk. There's about 1,000 coaches there, and he goes up to all his coaches and asks them, "Why are we doing these drills? If they're not getting you closer to your goal, then why are we doing it? We're doing a whole bunch of things that don't really matter, and they're old stuff, and we're not using the new scientific stuff that we could be using to advance our players." So one reason this book is the last time I offered this book to a person was Urban Meyer, and I got offered a job at Ohio State. So I already know what's going to happen.
And I know about the, what is it, the association?
Yeah, the American Football Coaches Association. It's the largest American Football Coaches Association in the United States. It's been 100 years, so it's been around. So they asked me one day, I'm talking to them, and one of the guys, he says, "Man, you need to teach the other coaches how to do this." I says, "Well, this is how I make money. Why do I want to tell somebody else how to do it?" And so what I did was, he says, "Well, you're going to have to get over it." And I says, "Okay, well, we're going to do it for coaches." So this is not a book for trainers. This is for coaches to help them to enlighten themselves and build up their career. If you're a grad assistant, you need this book.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're at a HBC university, you really need this book. Because most HBC coaches are not, say, at the highest level of understanding what they're doing. Somebody asked me the other day, "What the heck is Hugh Jackson down there doing?" I was like, "Hugh Jackson, he doesn't understand." See, just because you know plays and X's and O's, it doesn't matter.
You still got to know kids.
You got to develop. And that's the difference between being a good coach and an average coach.
Do you want to talk about that? Because I was in Grambling this last year at this time. Well, I'm going to tell you the story. Well, I was in Grambling, and I was down there for the spring because my son had got looked at from them, and they wanted to give him a preferred walk-on, okay? Grambling. They wanted to give him a preferred walk-on. All right, so I got in the car, and Noah, you probably remember this when I left and drove him down there. I drove my son down to Grambling. I figured that he was from California. I'm going to drive him to Grambling because I want him to see that if it's not popping over there, guess what, buddy? You're not going to just be able to, get on the bus and come home. This shit's 24 hours, and I did all the driving, me and KT, because KT went at that time. We get down there. I'm there 20 minutes because my family is from Carthage, Texas, which is right outside of Shreveport, Louisiana. So my son never been. So I showed him, where his family is from. And I'm like, see? Yeah, see? We from the sticks. You see? We in California. Yeah, we got it easy. We got it good. You know what I mean? They burn their trash over here. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So then I'm getting over there to Gremlin and tell me why they didn't even have his pass ready. Everybody else passes is ready. That type of thing. He never met Hugh the 3 days we was there. I'm just calling it what it is.
Right.
They start telling these kids whatever they need to tell them to get them down there. And then when they pass the eye test, then they go further. I get it. We are wasting our kids' time by now you got kids taking visits that been hurt all season. But now you taking visits like nothing because your parents can pay for it.
Well, that's the difference.
And people don't understand it. And you got all these letters. You get these letters in the mail. Those letters don't mean shit. Those letters don't mean shit. Everybody keep thinking, oh, I got a letter from this school. I got a letter. Man, they call your coach and they ask your coach who are the top seniors. And they put you on a list. And everybody in the Pac-10, everybody sends you those same letters to see if you're going to do something, see if you're going to get off your ass.
We were talking earlier. That's one of the things nowadays you got to really – this recruiting thing is getting out of hand. But it's going to be like nowadays for high school kids, you're going to have to do it like the pros do it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be assessed, and you're going to –
your numbers, go to a combine.
You don't do your numbers, you won't – You're
going to have to be ranked come your junior year already because you had already went to some camps and some combines.
I'll just tell you the philosophy. The coaches don't want to waste money on recruiting you when you can't even pass the – you might pass the eye test, but you don't pass the speed test.
Well, Corona, ain't no coach coming to your house no more either. Ever since Corona – ain't no coach coming, no head coach coming to your house.
Well, there's a couple came out here during the Corona time. I know that Notre Dame's coach came out here and he was looking for some. The coaches. Yeah. Nick Saban made it around, but I think really getting back to all the things that I think that what we were talking about this book, I think it'll help enlighten coaches to understand how to be better coaches for these young kids so we can develop a bigger product in the future. Because you can imagine, man, the kind of money these kids are making. You got the XFL, you got the USFL, you got all these different leagues now. So these kids have a real opportunity to make a lot more money and to go through school. I have so many kids have gotten free educations, and that's really been important.
But it's starting to come down to if you got 10,000 followers too, though. If you ain't got 10,000 followers, or if what makes me as a school, like you doing something good, you're gonna have some type of media to where you got, 10,000. I want to sign that kid that got 10,000 followers because now me as a school, I got 10,000 more people following me too. So it makes a lot of sense. But if you're not catching the ball and you're not being taught those things, you probably don't have 10,000.
Remember, those things are just like, you can have 10,000 followers and be a scrub.
Of course.
Because you put out a whole bunch of cute stuff. I see kids
But
all
how
the
many
time.
guys are getting scholarships off 7-on-7 now?
Oh, there is not any.
That's my point.
Okay, so all the 7-on-7 kids right now are going to the junior colleges.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you right now, that's the truth. So if you're going 7-on-7, you're probably going to throw some money away.
Right.
Because the money you're spending on that, you can actually get better and then get you an athletic scholarship. There's not one 7-on-7 coach's credibility to be able to tell a university coach anything because they know that you're getting paid.
Shit, most of the 7-on-7 coaches is the assistant coach anyway.
Well, there's a lot of them are Pop Warner coaches,
Yeah.
and they go back to that once they get done, So, I mean, and they're trying to work on their skills as coaches too. So I think, and then that's why I said there's so many coaches out here teaching the kid. Once you have a kid that got bad habits, it takes a lot to break. So when you say your parents are at the age where they're young and they're not teaching them, and when they get to you, now it's hard to deal with them.
Yeah.
So that's why I said we need to also make sure we're bringing something up for the parents to understand how to develop. You want your kid to play sports? You better start him doing certain things. He better do what you tell him to do. He better follow instructions. Like I said, sometimes you got kids and their parents want them to make it and they let them get away with stuff. And we talked about a story earlier when we were talking about a couple of kids who went through universities and the coaches let them slide because they were good kids. And
Correct.
both of them, one's dead and one's in jail.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you should hold a coach accountable. But we hold the kids accountable. We should look at who was working with that kid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's critical, So I think that if we can get this kind of book out here, I think we can help some coaches understand how to communicate better with our kids. And then, I think the kids will be better. I mean, we'll have better product. We'll have kids coming out of colleges not to play just pro football. I have a kid now, Jay Walker. He's a state delegate in Washington. He played quarterback for us at Pasadena. He used to whine and cry about not starting and not getting a starting job. And I said, look, you just keep working. You just keep working. So he used to stay after practice and throw routes. He ended up going to Howard University, and they ended up winning the national championship. Now he's a state delegate, and he's on ESPN on the game day. So this is a young man who came from L.A., who just kept working, and, this is the kind of kids we can build. He didn't make it to the pros. He had a little opportunity, but now he's still doing it. A state delegate in Maryland for a young black kid coming from L.A., that's a good thing. The ESPN thing, that ain't the big thing. Everybody see him on ESPN, but that job, being a delegate, is more important than him being on ESPN.
Oh, since we talking about ESPN, do we need to talk about that real quick? Mm-hmm. About that shit they did when they cut us off for like 3-4 days because they couldn't come to a deal?
Oh, well,
we ain't gonna talk about that.
No,
right.
We don't let it get too
I didn't want to get in.
Yeah,
because I was mad as hell. I missed a couple of games.
So yeah, that's the nutshell on this book, man. It's really,
how many chapters is it?
Okay, so I condensed this. If I'd have wrote this thing, and it would be 500 pages, so it's about 200 pages. I kind of condensed it to talk about the audience, principles for success in sports coaching. Coaches need to have some principles.
Correct.
So you need to understand what kind of principles you need to have.
And stand by those.
And if you have them, you will be successful. So one of the things in this book, the first chapter, usually people
don't
want
tell them
to talk
too much.
Well, I'm just going to tell you because it's important that you understand you have to train the brain. You can't just train the physical body. because the brain actually operates everything that you do. So you always have coaches say muscle memory.
Yeah.
And every time I do it, I say, like, really, coach?
Don't say that.
Where do you go to college? There's
Yeah.
no muscle that has any kind
See,
of
I
memory.
be saying that. I be saying
Okay.
that too. So I ain't
But
gonna say that no more.
Your
See?
muscles do not memorize anything.
No, I dig it.
Okay, so
It's true.
when I break
It do
down
sound
this
stupid
book,
as hell.
when I break down this book, the first part is the reticular activating system. That is the brain. So it operates two parts of your body.
No, can you imagine if I
Everything-
said that to you?
Everything inside, your heart beats from the reticular activating system in your brain. And everything outside works from that part. So it operates the inside and the outside. So the outside is your movement. Okay, so now you start to train the brain through the central nervous system. So what happens up here, it transfers through the central nervous system, it goes down through here and makes a response. So that's why there's no muscle memory. It's here.
Mm-hmm.
But so we get into talking about how to train the central nervous system. That's one of the chapters in here, how to train the central nervous system. If you know how to do this, you'll be a good coach every year because
Yeah.
you'll be training your kids the
Should be
proper way.
curriculum for coaches.
Because it's all science.
Yeah.
It's like, and some coaches get lucky because they have a certain kid with a certain skill set.
Or they can go on PlayStation and pick a couple plays. You feel
Yeah.
me? On
So
Madden.
that's some of the things in here. Chapter 4 talks about, how to transfer learning. How do you transfer what you know
Mhm.
to me? How do I transfer it to you? That's kind of sort of the things you have to know in teaching.
True.
So if I'm teaching you a subject, I'm trying to transfer that learning to you so you get a good grade. That's what makes me a good teacher. Most coaches don't have that ability because they didn't go to school for that.
Yeah,
So
everybody
that's
learn
why I
different.
put it in here and give something for the coaches to understand how to become teachers. And so it's kind of
You said
become
nothing yet about a cone drill or an Oklahoma drill
Mm-hmm.
or a high knee or nothing yet. You know what I mean?
Well-
we talking about something. We ain't even hit the field
right,
yet.
well, yeah, that's the whole deal. That's the part where coaches do a lot of things. And so, and then I put all the studies in here and the research about how to transfer learning and who did all the research. So I did a lot of research. It's like a master's degree as far as if I put this in a college right now. And then understand how the techniques to improve athletic performance, like what you just said, high knees.
Yeah.
Coaches don't even do high knees no more, bro.
Stop.
It's not a big thing,
Stop.
okay?
It ain't a part of the dynamic stretch,
Okay.
they call it.
All right, so
Dynamic.
how would you create speed if you don't have high knee action? You can't create no force toward the ground. So when you don't practice that, then you don't even have good hip flexors. So if I'm recruiting an athlete and I tell him to run, if he brings his knees up, I like him.
Yeah.
If he's striding, I got to teach him how to get his knees up.
Right.
So now that's how you start to deal with performance. So coaches don't teach high knees.
High knees used
What-
to be the first thing you did in your stretches. Like,
Right.
that was
So
first.
I have kids do high knees, and I said, okay, we're just going to do 5 down and 5 back. If you look at that, that's 100 yards, and then if you look at how many steps that is, that's a lot of steps.
But I can look at the athlete, too, from that drill. Just from
Well, yeah,
whoever's
that's
running.
what, hey, well, that's
if
an
they
eye test,
hammering
bro.
back, if they pulling the
No,
leaf.
hey,
you know
this
what
is
I mean?
this is an eye test. That's why coaches want to see you run.
Yeah, of course.
If you don't look right, it ain't right.
But I can sit in the stands and tell you who the athletes are. Like, oh, that dude's a running back. That dude has to be the quarterback.
All right, so we can get deeper into that. That's some of the things about the science about that.
Yeah.
So that's what you're looking for is guys that have good dynamic balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see every kid, okay, Rogers just got hurt. He hurt his Achilles. I'm just going to write a paper on it. Anytime you have a problem with your ankle and anything in your calves and you play on it, you're probably going to tear your ACL. I mean, your Achilles. Okay, so I tore my Achilles. I had a sprained ankle. I came back too soon. Tore my Achilles. Kevin Durant, same thing. Kobe Bryant, same thing. The kid for Cincinnati, I wouldn't play till the 5th week. I wouldn't play until my shit's healed.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I could just tell you what, any
Shit's
other
going.
stress that they put on there, the stress resistance, that Achilles is going to snap.
But if they read this book, they know.
Well, I mean, now you have to understand that if you don't, so the first thing I always say, building a solid foundation. That's where I start. If you don't have good ankle strength, you could have everything else, but you guys Rogers can throw the hell out of the ball, but his ankle's messed up, okay?
Yeah,
So he
he
can't
ain't
play.
No.
So anytime you have a problem with your ankle, and that is your foundation, you walk on your feet,
Yeah.
okay? You got bad feet, you walk funny.
You all funny. That's me. That's me. I said that.
So that's why I said, you know, and I in this book we talk about dorsal flexion. If you don't have good dorsal flexion, you won't run fast.
My feet hurt because them little ass cleats they used to give us back in the day.
Well, you know, that's, you know,
whatever I get in.
a lot of athletes, their toes are all messed up.
Man,
Okay. I'm just going to tell you. So it's because of sometimes they were running the wrong way and running too much on their toes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and they didn't know. So
My feet look like I've been playing soccer with a cantaloupe.
well, that's what I said. You know, some people feet are like that. But like I said, man, this book is going to really change the way coaches do things.
Yeah.
And I've talked to several high-level coaches, and they was like, we have never heard this science stuff put out like
No,
this.
I haven't.
And I have done 30 years of research.
I heard it for 5 minutes. Was like, we got to put it out. That's why I said nope.
I did this with Bob, and so it takes about 12 to 22 days. Bobby Wagner did about 24 days. His skill set was changed for the rest of the
You know
career.
who Bobby Wagner is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's his guy.
This guy right here endorses
Yeah.
this book.
Wow.
Bobby Wagner's endorsed on this.
Oh, wow.
Bob, everything I did in this book, I did with Bobby. I trained him through the brain. I used to tell him, hey man, nobody was recruiting him out of high school. And so I worked him out and I assessed him. I was like, damn, man, they missed you. So that's one thing I talk about in the book too. You got to be able to assess kids. If you don't be able to assess kids, you won't even actually know what they need to improve.
Mm-hmm.
So I assessed him and I said, man, they missed on him. I went to the same coaches convention, American Football Coaches Convention, and we're talking, you know, one day, and I said, man, I got this kid they missed on, dude. And this coach says, give me your number. You're always telling me about kids. He called him up, got Bobby Wagner, and he went to he only got one offer, Utah State.
That's all you need.
Okay. So, and I told Bobby when we were working out, I said, you should be pissed off and you should be working out because you're not getting offers. So I started getting in his head at a young age to work out and use that mental energy because you're pissed off to come out here and work hard. And he made it.
He made it.
And there's been other kids. I got lots of kids.
Yeah.
So,
He's been in the league for
A minute, yeah.
a minute.
you know, I saw him couple
He got
summers
the
ago.
fastest kid at University of Washington.
University
right
of
now.
Washington, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Devon.
Yeah. He's been around me since he was in the 8th grade.
And I had an opportunity to coach him too, though, when I was coaching in Hemet. So yeah, I know the kid too.
So, and he's like, and his dad can tell you the testimony because he went to all the 7-on-7. No offers.
No.
I said, did you tell the coach to call me? Because he's not going
And
to
he was
believe
with Pro Way too.
it. Yeah, I
He was
know
with
it.
Pro Ways at
Come
that
on,
time.
man. Pro Way, okay, getting to that. Derek Holmes played for me. I'm from Pasadena.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Derek played for me at PCC.
And Darnay, his son,
that's
played for New York.
Yeah, he was a, and I remember he was a Pop Warner. But anyway, so it's been, you know, say like a lot of work on this stuff. So we're going to try to make sure that we can get all of this information, all the coaches, so that they can start to develop these kids. Back in the day now, this is important. Derek, since you started talking about him, Derek was a good kid, just had a lot of stuff happen. And he finally made it. And he did a good thing with Pro Way. And one of the things I told him, I said, look, I can't work out all these kids. And I didn't get into 707. So I'm so proud of him, but having something for kids and helping.
Pro Ways went from 0 to like almost 800 kids because they went from different areas, and they were sponsored by Adidas. So they was the first 7-on-7 team to have a sponsor. And Adidas would send them stuff, and they had.
Well, it was because Derek had
Yeah,
an
Derek, like-
Adidas contract back in the day.
That's when he had Adidas contract, and that's what I'm saying. He just paid it forward.
So that's why I said,
That's
you know, I've
important.
had those kids when they were young. Okay, so that's why I said when he sees me, he calls me coach. I got another story in here about Antonio Pierce. First day I met him, he had bad ankles, so we would start talking about ankles. And I had him walk on his toes, and his ankle started to wobble. I says, man, you must have hurt your ankle last year. And he's like, nah. He was playing with the Redskins. I go, man, you got terrible ankles. Man, I've been in the league 4 years. Ain't nobody ever told me that shit. So he go back to the Redskins, and he ended up hurting his ankle that year, missing off the whole year. So he got his ankles together, he went to the Giants, and that's when he got to the Super Bowl. So he knows about this. So every time he sees me, he say, "What's up, coach?" I just say, "Hey, how's them ankles?"
Shit.
He don't even have to
Yeah,
hear.
I've been
He don't
coaching
have to
for so
see me.
long.
But if somebody asks him about his ankles, he know it's me.
I've been coaching so long. I don't even think the kids know my first name. To to be honest. All of them call me coach.
Yeah.
Hey, there's one more thing I wanted to bring up, though.
Okay.
I wanted to bring up this right here.
All right. So let me just tell you about how this all got
You
started.
gotta listen to this part.
I'm like an engineering major. So as a kid, I didn't have a desk in my room. I had a drafting board. I was planning on being an engineer. So I always knew that there were angles that had to be efficient. So if you had your knee in the right position, it's efficient. So if you don't pick your knee up high enough, then your foot won't come underneath your knee. So now all of these things on this drawing is basically kind of ways if I was drawing a robot, I would have all of these dimensions that the robot would have to have. So I see things through engineering, and basically I probably should have been an engineer, but I started playing football. And, so this was kind of the guidelines for me. I made a different book. I got a different color on the different book on the legs. It's just a little different. It gets a little deeper because I was saying that some people want to know more about teaching, and some people already have teaching skills. So the coaches that have teaching skills, they're going to refresh through some of this stuff, but I think that we need to dig a little deeper for some of the coaches.
Me being who I am, I look at this picture and I go, okay, cool. And then he sent me the other picture, and the other picture is black legs. So then I'm going, well, hold on a second, coach. I get it. The other one is for the black leg. But no, we're going to put that out too, though. I want to put it out because I want to put it out with the white legs, and I want to put one out too. The same book with the same information in it with the black legs. Because then now it's just the concept of we too wrapped up into color. So the black dude is faster than this and this and this and this and that. But all these dimensions and shit is the same is what I'm saying. And what's in the book. So again, you go by, don't judge the book by its cover is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't look at this and go, oh, I'm judging the book by its cover.
Nah.
So then now when he gets ready to sign these books and whatnot, you got to side over here with white legs. You got to side with black legs.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, let everybody buy them and then we bring it up so we can see which one they bought.
Well,
you see what I'm saying? Like I want to see. I really want to know what you have in your house because this will tell me what you're teaching in your house. Or maybe you should just buy both of them and let whoever's reading it pick what they want to do. So then it becomes a concept of, you know what? Let's stop this shit and figure out what's in the book.
I'm going to just tell you, because at first I had a little issue with it because of the way the black coaches are getting treated with the coaching association. So these guys are the #1 coaching association in the country. Every college coach is a member of the American Football Coaches Association. So one of the guys named Mr. Brown, he's running the educational part. And I told him, I said, I'm concerned with how we're getting our jobs and stuff like that and how things are happening with the way we're getting shortchanged on head coaching jobs. The one thing he says, hey, you're going to have to get over that and move on. So I think I can get over this and move on. And, because at first I was kind of like, here, I'm going to give somebody information. They're going to make $1 million off of this stuff. I can just tell you, I've turned down jobs. Those are big-time jobs and for this information. So, but I think if we can get this information out to all the coaches, then it won't be a problem.
Of course, a program would want to come in and say this is what they did. Like, you know what I mean? We got you, and then because that's normally happens. Somebody comes in, they'll tweak it a little bit and call it their own.
Right. But see, that's why I had to put it on a paper.
Yeah.
Because now it's my intellectual property. I can go to any camp and see my stuff.
Yeah.
I've done it before. I had a kid just surveying. I was over at this Linwood thing, and I was looking at the drills. I said, man, this looks familiar. Yeah. And I started getting closer to the guy who was leading the drills.
Yeah.
And it was Ricky Ortiz. I said, man, I knew these drills looked familiar.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I can tell because most people don't do it like me.
Yeah.
So
I know. I seen it. That's how we got here.
So definitely, man, this has been a good podcast. I think hopefully we can help some of these other coaches understand that we can be good coaches, but we gotta just not yelling at the kids is not gonna help.
But I think it all comes from having something like this, though, because I can't imagine a coach not being able to come on and speak his mind, though. That's what I'm saying. Like the coach never gets to speak his mind. He's always in the cut. He's always practiced what he's gonna say on camera. But when his parents know that he's a real person, you know what I mean? They buy in a little bit more. Exactly with the kids too, I just think that we need to get them here. We got to get them here, and they got to get to talking, and they got to make me believe that they can coach.
Right.
Because then now I'm gonna solidify it by going, hey,
Oh
When
man.
the parents start calling, because they're gonna be calling like, man, you been talking to all these coaches. Where should my kids go, or this and this and that?
Right.
I'm gonna be able to tell them, you know what? I don't mess with this coach, but I mess with this coach, and I'm able to say that. You know.
Yeah.
So, and my whole thing with the book too, though, is now we got to start figuring out how we gonna start getting the top kids in California, like we were talking about. You know.
Well, you're talking
we gotta
to
get
one
them.
of the top recruiters in California.
That's what I'm saying.
I know what to tell them.
You know.
You know what kids want to hear? I'm gonna get you better.
Yeah.
That's what a kid want to hear. Not some I'm gonna get you better. And then when he hears that, then he understands that you're gonna work with him, and you're gonna help him. And that's the key to all of this, showing that you can get them better. A lot of coaches ain't gonna say it, and a lot of coaches won't tell you that I'm gonna get you faster. I have never seen a track coach say I'm gonna get you faster if you come out for track. They usually just tell you to come out for track because
They
you're
just tell you to
fast.
come out for
Because
track.
you already. They ain't calling no slow guys to come out for track.
No.
Come on, man, I'm gonna make you faster. They ain't doing that.
That ain't ever gonna happen.
All right, so that's we're good.
No, yeah, go ahead.
You say.
All right.
What I wanted you to do though is go over your the first part, of the script. Just kind of read that first part of the script that I had.
Oh, that we were talking about in the beginning.
And then we'll wrap him up from there.
All right.
Yeah, you guys are killing it right now, man.
You talking about the email I sent you?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Let me pull it up on my phone. I don't have it in the book.
I have it. If you want it, I have it right here in the text.
Well, I probably know it. I already know it anyway. I'll just go through it.
It's right there. Just that first
All
part.
right. All right. It
Kinda
says
gives an
the
introduction
impact
to the
of a coaching educational program on coaching efficiency. And when I wrote this was about how coaches can be better and more efficiency. After 20 years of developing it, it's finally here. Introduction to a Functional Speed Performance Training. It's a brand new performance training manual. This is a solution for coaches to teach players how to get faster and more coordinated. And so what I wrote in here, and this system, Angles of Efficiency, is a customized program. So when I say customized, it's customized for me assessing hundreds of athletes and determining what is important for them to learn to move to the next level. So that's one of the things. So we got plenty of assessments, and I could just tell you all the kids have to be assessed first before you can determine what kind of workout to do. Every coach comes out and the kids just start training. Would you go to a doctor and start taking medicine and he hasn't diagnosed you yet?
Yeah, no.
So you have to diagnose kids, and
Yeah.
that's one of the critical things. So you have to keep kids in a smaller, more controlled environment so that you can. So if I had to work with a kid and I had 20 kids, it'll take me about 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
Easy.
letting you leave with this bad mistake. So if you did a mistake, I'm going to correct it now. I'm not going to keep letting you go through it 10 times.
Yeah.
And then next week, I'm going to yell at you.
And kick you
And
out.
last week, I saw it, but I didn't say anything. Now
Yeah.
I'm yelling at you. All right, brother. So good, man. So we get in.